And welcome to the Puntillas, a space made to share knowledge both for professional and aspiring dancers. In today's video, we'll learn how to darn our pointe shoes. When it comes to sewing our shoes, there is literally so much that we can do. Apart from ribbons and elastics, we can extend the heel area so that this doesn't slip off our heel. We can downsize the sides of the pointe shoe, and we can even cut down on the bump area. We're not talking about those things today, that would maybe come later on, but what we're talking about is darning our shoes. So darning happens on the base of the pointe shoe, so what we dance with. It looks something like this, and what we're gonna go through, it's about the benefits in comparison with a shoe that does not have darning done on it. We will talk about the materials that we need to go step by step on how to proceed with this technique. Darning my shoes has been one of those things that I have tried on my pointe shoes that I felt the difference and improvement from the very first moment that I gave it a try. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to share it with you. Now, first we're gonna talk about the visual differences that we can find between a shoe that has been darned and one that has not been darned. So here I have a pair, they're the same, from the same pair, they're one pair. They're directly new from the fabric. I have not done anything on them. So the one on the right, I haven't even broken it in. That's just exactly how it looks. That's how exactly it comes. And this one right here on my left, I have pre-darned already to show you the difference. So if I put them side by side, what we can see is that the vamp area, or the box, like some people call it, which is this area right here. So when we darn the shoe, what it happens is that the feeling that it gives is of a more elongated feeling. It becomes larger, right? As you can see, this one here on the right is a little bit shorter, a little bit more like chubby feeling, right? And this one here on the left, it becomes a little longer, more elongated, right? So now you may ask, what's good? Like, what's better? It's really just a personal preference, I find. I like my shoes to look sleeker, longer, not so short in the vamp area, but other dancers do prefer a shorter look, a more chubby look on the box area. Again, this is just personal preference, and you would have to consider if you like a shorter look on the bump to do the darning or not. Now onto the benefits on darning our pointe shoes. So what we are doing basically when darning the shoes is we are extending and making an even base for our pointe shoes. That's gonna result into better stability, better balance, and that's one of the main reasons why ballet dancers do choose to darn their shoes. Another great thing when sewing your shoes this way is that you would be protecting the satin as well. I hated every time the satin started to break apart within just 2 days. There will be holes, and then I will take my scissors and I will like cut all around to make a beautiful round edge with clean satin. But then what happened? The edges of the satin started to go like, and then that happened in like literally a day. So not a great look in my opinion, but by darning your shoes, basically what's happening is that the thread will be in contact with the floor for a longer period of time than the satin. Eventually, because of your body weight and the use of the shoe, the thread will flatten and then the satin will be in contact. But that doesn't matter because already probably at that point the shoe will be dead either way. But if not, the thread has created a holding point for the satin so that you don't get those flares up, which are also a little bit dangerous and in my opinion not really pretty at all. Now, have you ever experienced these two sides right here, or just one of them, getting soft and feeling like your nails are literally just like digging onto the floor and you're just like, oh, and it's like so painful? Okay, so I have good news, because by sewing and darning your shoe, you're basically strengthening the whole base, and especially those two sides. So that will eventually happen, because body weight is body weight, but it will happen later on in time. So anything that protects my nails, I am down for it. And lastly, but definitely not least, your shoes will become less slippery. Why? Because we are building a new base that is in contact with the floor that isn't satin. Satin is a gorgeous material, it's so beautiful, it's shiny with lights and it's gorgeous, but it's very slippery. Slippery with linoleum and with many other floors. And that is why as dancers we use chloroform and resin so that we don't fall over, so it's not so slippery. But the threading comes with our good friend cotton, which has a better natural grip that adds that extra hold that we need, so that we don't have to use too much resin or chloroform, which sometimes it does end up in the opposite effect, that we get stuck on the floor with the danger of tripping over. So yeah, that's a really good trick on darning also your shoes. A pokey to make holes all around the base of the shoe to make sure that our darning is going deep enough so it's secure and not moving around. A thimble to protect our fingers when pushing the needle through the hole. A plug will come handy when grabbing and pulling the needle, like so, avoiding breaking the needle too often. A regular scissors to cut the thread with. A needle. Now this is vital because, as you can appreciate, it is an irregular needle. It needs to be thicker so it doesn't break easily, and larger so it's easier to grab onto it. The eye of the needle must be larger as well, so that the thick thread can go through it. And lastly, the thread. As you can see, it's a little thicker than usual in order to make a strong and durable darning. Also, you won't have to go too many times around. Now you have all of your materials ready, you have your pointe shoes waiting for you. Now it's time to go step by step on how to actually darn our pointe shoes. So we're gonna start taking our pointe shoe and we're gonna look at that base, which is where our darning is gonna go. First, we are gonna grab our pokey and then we are gonna make holes all around the pointe shoe. You can start poking wherever you want. I would start in the corner as I usually do. Now, before we get any further, it's important to know where to place those holes. That's the edge of the pointe shoe, and you do not want to punch first on the edge and then coming out, so your knot will be placed in the wrong place. What we want to do though, is punch first inside of that edge, will come out of the edge, and then the knot will be right in the middle. Also, be careful with the placement of your hand when making these holes. If it's too high up, you could get severely hurt by the pokey. Instead, what you want to do is placing your hand further down like so, avoiding any possible accidents. Next, grab your needle and enough thread to complete your darning in one go, like about 3.2 meters long. Cut it, put it through the needle, and grab the two ends of the cutted thread together and pull until it's tight. You will no longer need the thread. Next, grab your thimble to push the needle all around the base. With your needle and thread ready to go, you're gonna go through from the base to the outside of the shoe. Just like so. Next, grab your plug and grab onto the needle and pull. Keep pulling the thread, but not completely through. Just about, you are left with this much. and make sure that you do not cut it. Hold it so it doesn't go anywhere. We will repeat the same step with the hole next to the one that we have just worked on, making sure that we are going from the inside to the outside. Go through with the needle. Also, when working with such a long thread, it's important to place it away from you. That would make the pulling a lot easier. Just grab onto the plug and pull the thread until you're left with a loop. Grab your needle again, and this time we'll go through the loop from underneath, not from above, always from underneath. Just like so. Pull it all the way through nice and tight to create our first knot. You can help yourself by pulling from side to side and back and front. Next, we will cut off the excess thread. Let's do it again. Go through with the needle, grab your plug and pull it until you created a loop. Go never from above, remember, go always from underneath. Pull it through all the way until it's nice and tight. And just keep repeating this exact step all around the base. When you get to the end, make sure that your last knot is right next to the one that you created at the very beginning. The second time we go around will be a little bit different. Count 2 knots. The first one and second that you created in the first round. With the needle, you are gonna go this time diagonally. Not straight, but diagonally. Now skip the first knot and place your needle outside of the second knot so that the needle pops through between both knots. As you can see here, it was a bit too hard for me, so just take your pokey and make a hole to make it easier. Grab your needle again and go through the hole, remember, just outside of the second knot and diagonally. Pull with the plug until you're left with a loop. Pass the needle from underneath and pull the thread tight to create a knot. Just keep repeating the step all the way around. Once you have reached the very end, make a very last hole to go with the needle through. This time, pull the thread completely, nice and tight, to make sure that the thread is not going anywhere. Just cut the remaining thread as close to the point shoe as possible, and you're done.
And that's how you darn your point shoes. I really hope it wasn't too complicated and that you learned something today, and that hopefully for your next rehearsal or training you can give it a try. If you do try it, I would love to see it. Feel free to tag me on my social media. But for now, until the next video, bye!